You've probably had a question that you have thought about throughout your entire life, whether it be like, what, where am I going in life? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? That is a philosophical question, regardless if you're just wanting to know what kind of job you're going to do or whatever. It's still a philosophical question.
I'd say life is a choose your own adventure book. And what philosophy does is it does that thing where you say, you can go to page 20 if this happens, or go to page 80 if this happens. And on page 80, it just says you die. You're playing those games and you just skip that bit and you don't go to page 80, you decide to go to page 20 after all. That's what philosophy can do for you.
One key trait about philosophy is that there's like unresolved arguments all the time that never can come to a consensus or agreement. It's always disagreements constantly, but that's actually part of a trait that's actually really good.
A little bit of philosophy makes you Deepak Chopra. Studying philosophy makes you an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But the question here, Dave, is, what do you mean by a little?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Debate Hub, and welcome to our philosophy show, which is once a month on first Saturday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. What's going on, everybody? How are you? How was your month? Let's start with frustrated, then we'll go to Dave, then we'll go to Barry, then we'll go to Oppie, and then we'll get started.
My month has been great, I guess. We spent time with family. I've been just coming up with a D&D campaign for my nephew because he's gotten into it. And it's gonna be so much fun. But
happy holidays, right? Happy 2025.
And that's I'm gonna start that up sometime actually this month. So he's gonna be super excited about it.
It is exciting. Dave, what's going on with you?
University has started again, so I'm completely shadowed all the time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But it's been a pretty good month. I bought myself a Steam Deck for Christmas, so I'm now playing lots of video games, yeah.
Will you play Overcooked with me?
Ooh, I love that game.
Yes!
That's the... Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to do it on the Steam Deck, but give me a week or so, and I'll definitely play it.
Yes, that's gonna be so much fun.
It's the one with the two chefs, and you control one each side. Yeah, brilliant game.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so much fun. Oppie, Barry's next. Barry, go. What are you doing? Then you.
What are you asking me?
How are you? Happy 2025.
I'm all right. For last, did I show you the Lego Timmy? Do you want to see the Lego cat?
Yes, show us the Lego cat.
I got a Lego cat for Christmas.
Oh, I love that.
This looks exactly like my cat. Look at this. How cool is this? That's pretty cool, right?
That is pretty cool.
It looks just like the actual cat I have. It's going to be amazing whenever I decide to put it together.
You're going to put it together and the cat's going to sit beside it and you're not going to be able to tell which one is which.
Oh, I'm going to get a fantastic YouTube out of it at some point, yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Still waiting on transferring logistics for the school I'm trying to get into, so just pensively waiting for that. But holidays were great.
Good. So we got school starting, school pending, D&D pending. He's got a cat.
Lego cat.
Well, my school's also pending. I'm starting up the new year here shortly-ish.
The next semester for everybody. I'm doing fine. I moved offices again. I'm hopefully starting a puck camera soon. That'll be fun. But I'm already in pain. One of the first things I saw this year was somebody thinking I was a flat earther, then somebody doing a lot of contempt again, and then Jordan Peterson, who I did vehemently dislike, and Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader in Canadian politics, who I also vehemently dislike, decided to do a nearly 2-hour interview on the Daily Wire that was shouted out by Elon Musk, and I am in pain. So I'm going to have to watch that but on stream, and that's going to be terrible. But that's not why we're here today. Today, we are here to talk about how to build a personal philosophy. As we've talked about identity, we've talked about values, we've talked about principles, we've talked about kind of what philosophy is and who you are and how that can be identified. And now it's time to start building on you at home. What are the struggles with building a personal philosophy, and how do you start to sort of figure that out for yourself? So,
can I just do a thing at the top?
Yeah, go for it.
very quickly.
Yeah.
You might think, oh, I'm not interested in putting together a personal philosophy. It's wasting my time, whatever. Everybody has a personal philosophy. The trick is to understand and try have some control over the process. Because if you just say, oh, I'm not interested in it, you're handing control over the decisions that go into making your personal philosophy to someone else, to your social group, to advertising executives, to television shows, whatever. That's it.
He makes a very good point. That's the value. That's the value we're bringing to you right now for free on YouTube. Professionals.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is like, and the thing is like most people, their chosen entity that they usually give control over to is the religion of choice that they have. And the thing is like,
Yes.
there's nothing that says that you can't follow your same religion while also constructing your own philosophy around it.
You could certainly use your theology as a reference.
Mhm.
Well, religious people also do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's religious people living now who are just as Muslims say as the Muslims were in 1300, but nowadays very few of them would be okay with slavery, whereas before they were fine using exactly the same religion to justify completely different solutions. So they're capable of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google something.
You're gonna Google something. Oh, that's how we know
Yeah.
we're in trouble. So
This is look, we're all just frantically Googling as you bring up these topics. We do it day of, like you sit there and say something, and we Google it real quick.
as if I
Wait,
didn't
what am I
give you a
supposed to be Googling?
month.
Shit, what am I supposed to be Googling?
No.
What are we
Oh,
talking
I
about
have-
today?
I
I,
do
don't know.
this.
I have the
Yeah,
perfect
so
The only,
that's
the only other
things
tab
that
I
I
have
do
is
for
Daft
all my
Punk's
assignments.
Coachella concert.
We're just following Dave's curriculum. What's going on?
So-
What did you find?
I have a
Wait,
perfect
was it
thing to start
curriculum?
off with. Yeah, no, this is basically part of like my entire ethics class was this is we read two essays. One was Foucault's Self-Writing, and the other one was Roland Barthes on the rustle of language. And when we combine the two, I'll paraphrase both of them. So on rustle of language, basically the idea is that when you're reading philosophy or anything, even if it's like a novel that you're reading, you're always daydreaming kind of like ideas in your head from it. Like you're not going to stop doing that. Something's going to pop up in your head. Like, oh, like, yeah, the character was like this, or like an idea about what you're reading. The idea is that you're supposed to write all those little epiphanies down into a journal. And with Foucault's Self-Writing, it's called, this is what monasteries did. The monks would write down in a hyponemata, which is like this Greek like journal, basically. They would write down their sins and then reflect on them, but we're not going to do that. We're going to just reflect on anything that pops into your head. And this way it's coming your like most like, reflective, your most innate like thoughts that you're not like haven't fully thought through, so that when you analyze them later, then you can build up a personal philosophy off of that. And that's a great
That explains L'écriture indifférence by Jacques Derrida.
Okay, yeah.
It's an Indian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they all kind of built off of each other. No, like they were all talking to each other at that point. So. But no, this has like been a helpful thing. Like any epiphany that you have, just start writing it down, and you'd be surprised. Like this can help you with your writing. This can help you with music. This can help you with like any project that you're working on in life. Basically,
It's a good way to
Just
get past writer's block.
Yeah.
If I think there's also something to be gleaned from knowing the interpersonal drama between philosophers. So like
Yeah.
people will pretend that they're better than drama and be like, oh well, I don't get into gossip or I don't get into that. Go look at any field of study. There is interpersonal drama. You find scientists bickering with each other and like throwing shade. Lawyers and judges do it all the time. It's everywhere. Nobody is better than the quote unquote the drama. The TV just takes advantage of something that we're already doing. If it wasn't something we all didn't already do, then it wouldn't be on TV. And philosophy is the same way.
Wittgenstein threatened Karl Popper with
Drama.
poker.
No, and then there's usually nice things being said, but like Pierce one time in a letter to another pen pal was he was writing about Schiller, which was this very bombastic pragmatist in Britain, and he said, "I hate him." That's all the letter said was, "I hate him." That was it.
So where do you start? Like as an individual, like one person, because we've talked about like philosophy and politics and psychology and society and how those kinds of changes happen and they evolve and shift one way or another. But like for an individual, what do you guys think would be like a good baseline of like this is a good place to just start?
I think it
I would.
for me personally, I think it would depend on like what's the most important to you. Like because we all like so we all have these situations or these certain ideas that we hold very very close to us. And these are the ones that we can be the building blocks on how we start our philosophies is by tackling the subjects that are closest to you and then working your way outwards.
Dave, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with frustrated. It sort of depends on what you're trying to achieve. I suppose your life goals are the best place to start, or start with examining the kind of person you want to be. I mean, normally in a philosophy degree, you'll start with something like personal identity, and that
Mm.
forces a kind of inward thinking, and then you move to ethics. I think those are both two good places to start.
Barry?
I think, yeah, the two questions you need to answer are what kind of a person do you want to be, like you've all said, and also what kind of a world do I want to live in?
Yeah,
Mhm.
identifying the world around you, I think, is a good idea. What are you thinking?
No, that's exactly it right there. Those two things are pretty cut and dry down at the foundation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for anybody at home who wants to try to examine and build up in a way that because I think a lot of people already have a personal philosophy or they already have
Mhm.
an ethics system, but they do not know how to communicate what that is because they haven't taken
Yeah.
enough time to identify or to sort of like lay it out in like a flow chart or like in terms. One is because I think philosophy uses a lot of jargon, so I think that is a hurdle for people. But you don't need to. I don't think you need to use the jargon to express yourself. I think the
Correct.
jargon tends
Yeah.
to be
It's
for academics, not for personal
it's
use.
it's
Oh
just for
yeah.
Yeah, I
efficiency, but
think
you can explain the same thing just in a longer paragraph if you wanted to, basically. So
Yeah.
I
As a matter of
think
fact,
there's a
me.
sort of difference between philosophy and the whole personal philosophy idea,
mm,
because philosophy
Mhm.
is personal philosophy is more what what's the word, life
Like
coaching.
morals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
It's
philosophy is a whole bunch of different ideas that get examined.
mm, personal philosophy is more like a. It's basically a inner like it's a for one person, whereas like philosophy is more for everyone. Like it covers more than just what you personally want to get out of life and what you personally want to do with your life and things like that. Where which is what personal philosophy is. Philosophy in a nutshell is just like this is what we can do on a grander scale
Life,
than
the world, and
just
everything.
the individual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's also like a degree of it's good before you go into these overwhelming ideas because I think they can feel overwhelming. Is to sort of identify yourself a
Mhm.
little bit first, so you don't kind of lose yourself in the shuffle of whatever it is that you're
Mhm.
trying to do. And
I
so,
would
go ahead.
sorry. Oh, I would add not just figure out what your identity is, but like examine it. You know, not like wouldn't say deconstruct it, but just examine, analyze exactly what it is, not just and why, what's causing those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I think it's really
And
good too that people like I think don't be too judgmental on yourself. Like try to
mhm.
be like you can't be objective, but you can try to be like as clear as possible without being too hard on yourself or too easy on yourself and just be like yeah, it's important to accept yourself for who you are and where you are right now, So that way you can identify what you don't like, what you do like, and what's reasonable to expect to be changed or what you want to be changed, and what you decide you just, you know what, maybe I don't like about this about myself the most, but I accept it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a paradox because the only people qualified to judge you in a non, I guess, dependent sense is anybody else, but then they do not have access to the mental processes which led to your decisions.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. And the thing is like, because one of the things though is that like when everybody else is judging you, it's one of those things though is like, not only do they not have access to your mental state and all that stuff, but the thing is they're judging you off of their own personal philosophy. They're judging you by what they would do. And the thing is that some people would agree with your actions while others won't, and some people will just completely and utterly demonize you for your actions. Like if you like, you'll have somebody who doesn't believe that stealing a loaf of bread to feed yourself is morally wrong, and then you're gonna have somebody who thinks that stealing in every scenario is morally wrong, who's gonna treat you like a moral monster for it. And so it's always it's one of those weird things where it's like, yes, we need other people to judge our, in this instance, but the thing is like, they're only judging you based off of their own personal philosophy and
Well,
not
and you can't,
anything else.
based off of a singular action, you cannot
Mhm.
figure out, like retroactively figure out what somebody's intentions were.
Mhm.
Right.
So you're already not really judging them, you're just judging the scenario, but people will
event, yeah.
treat it as if they are judging the person, which isn't good.
No.
this is why you get into sticky water with phrases like good person and bad person. They're nonsensical. They don't mean anything.
Yeah, I think that people are people, and people are both capable of, the same person is capable of doing absolutely wondrous things and absolutely monstrous things.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
it's important to also understand that humans can be very hypocritical.
Except for Barry. Barry, he's just a monster.
He's the most consistent person ever.
Yeah.
I think one of the
Fuck all you.
things one of the things is that like humans are inherently like self-deprecating. Like we don't always do what's best for us. We don't always do the thing that we would like if we thought about it we would agree with it. And so recognizing things that are just sort of almost what I would probably describe as innate to the human experience, it being able to recognize that that's going to be part of who you are, whether you like it or not, and then deciding how you want to mitigate that and where you want to go is all lumped into this.
I think one of the important things that we should also consider is that is like, while we're doing the self-reflecting, and like Opie said, like, you don't have to completely deconstruct everything, but I think that whenever we see things that we don't like, those are the things that we should start deconstructing. We should
Example.
example for, well, I'll take my own personal experience. I started smoking cigarettes at the age of like 14. I've had moments where I quit and all that stuff, and that's something that I really do think that I should work on. And I believe that I should stop smoking. I believe that that's something I can, like, if I can find out exactly the reason why I keep smoking, other than the normal, oh, it's the stress of life, it's this, it's that, and if I can find ways of actually finding better coping mechanisms for those stress related things than smoking, I think it'd be much easier for me to deconstruct that and be able to do away with the smoker label that I have on myself.
Okay.
Also, probably take a look at all the physiological things. Like nicotine is one hell of a drug that messes with all
One hell of
mammals,
them.
basically. It messes with every mammal that takes it. So, like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
understand, like, there's certain barriers that, like, once it's in our system, it's really difficult to get the hell out of it. So,
Athens from the chat brings one up. He says, "I'm fat. I love to
we
eat."
can't hear Dave.
Dave, did we lose you? Did you knock your cord when you touched your thing?
You're gone, Dave. I can't hear you.
Every time. Nope.
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 Or did you
Can't
just
hear you,
mute
man.
your?
I'm sorry. Whatever you did the last time to undo it,
Did
undo
you
it
mute
again.
your?
He's got this. He got
Yeah.
this.
2 words. Movie, book. First word.
I-
Sounds like.
Athens from the chat said, I'm fat, I love to eat. Should I eat less and lose weight? Yeah, will I? Probably not. I'm a hungry boy. Well, okay, as somebody who also really enjoys eating, sometimes it's less about whether or not you should, like, the point is to still enjoy eating, but adapt the amount that you're moving around and how you're moving around to mitigate whatever it is that you like to consume and portion it.
There's also
And
things that make
also-
you feel hungry, like,
Yes.
or I mean,
Yeah.
curb that hunger.
Yeah.
Zempic.
One of the.
You laugh,
Oh,
but I'm on Trulicity, which is the same kind of chemical. I inject it every Saturday. Makes me feel sick all the time, man. My blood sugars are going to be amazing because I'm not eating anything.
That is not eating anything is the exact opposite of a healthy way of dieting.
Well, my blood sugar levels were described by one sensitive doctor as catastrophic. So I think they're trying to get that in line first. And they also said that the first line of defense against diabetes is lose weight. But I'm already quite thin, so they couldn't do that with me. So they're basically doing a bunch of damage control on my pancreas. They're doing the best they can without hospitalizing me. So,
look, Barry, have you ever thought about just not having diabetes?
sure, if I could go back now, yeah, I'll change my mind. I go back to the doctors and I changed my mind. I don't want this anymore. Thank you.
Go back to the doctor. The doctor's like, we could give you diabetes, and you would have been like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want.
Yeah, I said I'd try it for a while. It's not working out at all.
You didn't tell me that once I tried it, I had to keep it.
When you
Well, you
start
sold
getting
it to me, it was all
dementia,
different.
start writing. When you start getting dementia, start writing things. We want to know what your thoughts are then.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sure. I can't stop writing,
Oh,
so I
that'd
just
be
write all the
very-
time anyway.
Okay.
That'd be
So-
very, very interesting.
Back on topic while we're waiting for Dave. The things is like, if you can, so you guys were deciding or saying that one of the best things you can do is find out the positive things you said to start with, where it's just like, find out what you like about yourself, find out the way you think about things that you enjoy, or you're wandering around in your life and you say, I like this.
Can you
So,
hear
like-
me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you. He's back. So if you're like, I like eating, or I like movies, or I like cooking, why do you like those things? I really like cooking. I'm not a big fan of baking, but I know why. The reason I'm not a fan of baking is because it's too meticulous, and the reason I like cooking is because I can just grab shit and throw it together, and it's just a fun process for me, just being like,
Fair.
let's throw this in here, let's throw this in here, what's the worst that can happen? You can't do that with
fix
baking.
it in the
Actually-
moment. You
Yeah.
can
No,
fix
no,
it in the
actually,
moment.
you can do that. You can do that with baking.
Yes, but you need to know baking well enough, and I don't have the knowledge.
Well, I mean, because so for instance, my great aunt, I've lost it now, but my great aunt once gave me a recipe for mayonnaise chocolate cake,
Oh, that makes sense.
and it was delicious.
That's immoral.
Listen, I make the choice. Okay, hear me out. I identify as the problem often, regularly.
We all identify you as the problem, Shay.
Exactly. That's intentional. I
you're
have
thinking.
identified myself this way, and I want other people to recognize my identity and acknowledge my identity as the problem. It takes
What's
work.
the solution to that problem?
Yeah, no, that's for you to figure out.
I don't
I
want to
feel
figure
like
out your
I
problems.
already have more homework in this podcast than I signed up for.
I know. I like look, Barry has been carrying us on his back by coming up with the topics. Like y'all don't see this behind the scenes. Barry is over here every day typing
He's
away.
telling us what to think.
These are the
he's telling us-
topics. This is what he's like, Russ, I need you to sit there and make a joke at my expense this week. And then he's like, Dave, you're gonna have audio issues. It's okay.
This is sarcasm.
Blink if you need help.
I don't need anything, goddammit.
I just think it's one of those things where you can especially online, I think you have a unique chance to very much curate your personality.
Yes.
And I think that can be a really fun experiment for people. If you want to try being somebody else, make a brand new account on like Blue Sky or YouTube or whatever and operate in that persona that you invent. And make like if you want that persona to be idealized, if you want that persona to be like a piece of shit, like don't harass people. But if you want to be an asshole and go around and be an asshole, because I think a lot of people do that. But if you want to go around and be like the most wholesome person ever, and you want to write down like these are my ideals, this is what I want an ideal person to be like, this is what I think, you can experiment with that and just try it online and see what happens and how people respond to you.
Someone once said on my Twitter, "You can't possibly be really like this." So I put up a post saying, "People who know me in real life, is this what I'm like?" And a bunch of people who actually know me, friends of mine in my real life, say he's even more like this in real life.
Yeah, some people are way more earnest, and some people are way more fake, and some people are playing a
Well,
character.
Chesh, you and me have spoken like normal people off camera on a
Yeah.
number of occasions, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, neither of us, you and I, we're not terribly far off what you see now, right? Is that
No.
fair to say? You would say the
No,
same.
yeah, we
Yeah.
are pretty earnest. We're pretty out there the way
Chesh
we
talks
are.
exactly the same about exactly the same things in exactly the same way when she's just chatting to me off camera for whatever reason. And I think I'm kind of, I might be a bit quieter, but basically the same.
I think it's also
Yeah,
useful to be able to identify that as a viewer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
think the
I
other
was just
thing
gonna say
then-
my. Oh,
Sorry. It was
Go
like
ahead,
notice feedback from your peers, not just random strangers, but like your peers, people that you actually care about can have also another form of examination on you. You know, if you're going down a path that you're not ideally wanting to go down, then like you have other stopgaps to keep you in check, hopefully. And
People who
find
care
those
about you,
kind of
yeah,
people.
that's good.
Yeah.
yeah. See, one of the things is like I'm very very I'm usually very I'm very direct when I talk. Like whenever I ask questions, I'm never trying to ask the questions in a way that's like trying to get anybody in gotcha, trying to be like, ha ha, I've fooled your plans. But no, I sit there and whenever I ask a question, it's because I want to know the fucking answer. And this has not only gotten me in on the online sphere where people keep on accusing me of like, oh, you're just trying to set me up for a gotcha and blah 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 blah. But like even my fiance, she sits there and she's like, I don't know how to talk to you sometimes because like you are very direct. And I'm like, yeah, you should be very direct as a person. Like I think that everyone should be direct. If everybody said exactly what they were thinking and said exactly what they
And
wanted
how they
to
were
know,
feeling.
yeah, and how they were feeling, it would be a whole hell of a lot easier for everyone.
I actually
involved.
don't think it would be. And the reason I don't think it would be is because whether or not you said what you meant all the time does not inherently mean that people will use and understand the same language. So, for example, I don't really get angry very much. Like, I don't put the energy into being angry because, for the most part, I do not care. And I am very, very particular about compartmentalizing issues. So, if I'm angry or frustrated about this thing, and I'm having a conversation with the person I'm frustrated about this thing, about something completely different, I am not going to behave as if I am angry at them because it's a different issue.
I
And
understand.
it confuses the hell out of people. So there's been times in my life where I've had to behave as if I am frustrated at somebody all across the board for them to even understand that I'm frustrated at this particular thing because they don't understand they won't understand it. So even if I'm not angry in that moment at that time at that thing, they will not understand that I'm angry about this thing even though I've been
Well,
very direct and told them so.
if you're not communicating how you feel correctly to somebody, or they're not picking up on it, you have to decide for yourself to what extent that's your fault and to what extent that's their fault.
Right.
And as someone with some kind of weaponized autism going on in my head, it's usually my fault.
Well, and
And with
also
somebody like
sometimes
me
it's
who
not
does
a
not-
fault. And sometimes it's
Well,
It's
just
just is,
issue.
yeah.
if you take me for instance, is I don't normally take social cues very well, and so like it is like all these like my fiance, whenever we got together, like I sat there and I was almost for sure she was like not interested until I sat there and said like, oh yeah, you know, you can come over and we can, you know, watch a movie and we can cuddle up. And she's like, oh no, we fucking. And I'm like, okay, maybe she is
Jesus,
interested
we
in me.
get it. Someone agreed to marry you.
I know. Look,
He's
look,
humble
I am
bragging.
shocked.
He's
I'm
excited.
shocked, so I'm a little bragging about that. All right.
Yeah.
Like
Brag.
I'm a
If you're
little
gonna
bit
brag
bragging.
about something, that's it. Fuck yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
the
wanna-
one.
Unrelated though, I want to add that Dave is the most patient person on Twitter that I've ever met, discussing with people that like disagree with him on stuff. Like whenever I see him
Yeah.
discussing anything, it's just like you very, very calmly try to get them
Yeah.
to see the other side.
I don't know
Me
if
and
I don't know if
him
you
were-
remember this, Dave, but there was a time when I said you can curate your own Twitter feed and make it a better Twitter, and step number one of that is following Dave. Do you remember? I don't know.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm just far too lazy to get angry at people.
Look, Dave and I spent what was that 3 or 4 days talking to this dude, trying to get him to understand that he doesn't know what he's talking about on any
difficult,
subject he
yeah.
was bringing up.
It's
Like
difficult.
3 or 4 days we were sitting there, and there were times where I was getting frustrated, and here comes Dave. He's just like, hey, look, I asked you this specific question, and you haven't answered it yet. And I'm just like, I'm damn near over here like, go fuck yourself, guy. And here's Dave just like hey buddy, why don't you answer my question?
There's like
And I'm
this
like,
Secret
thing.
is high count THC weed.
I count THC.
There's also like this whole thing that goes on that it's really easy to get caught up, but I also think that there's a really big problem that people can't read.
Oh no.
People are bad at reading, and so
Comprehension.
yeah, I think if you're gonna be on Twitter and you're gonna try to be having those conversations, and not that I think that there isn't a place to tell people to go fuck themselves. I think that absolutely there's lines, and I think that's totally fine. I think like the R and Raw approach to
Fair to
things
go fuck
sometimes
yourself.
is good. I think the Seth Andrews way of approaching things sometimes, Dave's way of approaching things. I think it takes all kinds of people having all kinds of styles of conversations to change people's minds. However, if you, for your own personal sake, realize that you are, as you're examining yourself to sort of build your philosophies, realize that you're somebody who gets frustrated really, really fast, not everything might be for you. Like, the internet is not for everybody. Streaming isn't for everybody. Engaging in chat. Some people are better off just sitting and listening. Some people are better off engaging. Some people are better off lurking. Some people are better off just not participating in a subject whatsoever. But that's something that you have to do. That's not something that the internet can do for you.
Not
I
everybody
mean,
can
people who
mold
have
the
a sensitive
frustration
trigger
like I
should stay
can.
off Twitter.
And you probably also do not want the internet to do that for you, because if you do not, like Barry was saying at the beginning, if you do not curate yourself and your own philosophy and understand yourself in that way, then other people are going to do it for you. And if other people are going to do it for you, you now are completely hands off about how you feel about things all the time. And now Elon Musk gets to control how you feel about things all the time. And that's probably terrifying.
Yeah,
If you mute
And you
him
won't notice-
on
you won't
Twitter,
notice this happening.
if you mute him on Twitter, then you only see him half the time. So
If you mute him on Twitter, you only see him half the time. What a great sentence.
but
Opie coming in with
Oh,
the
Lordy.
singers.
yeah, but if you can't take that frustration and use it like for the good, like I do, then yeah, no, definitely do not. Like I have not as much patience as Dave does, but I do have an incredible amount of patience, and so that's why I can use the frustration that I get, and I just sit there and I can use it towards helping, like try to get people to fucking understand shit. But and sometimes it doesn't work and sometimes it does. But
Yeah.
if you don't have that, it definitely don't. If you're easily frustrated, yeah, don't.
One of the
Well,
things
sometimes it can feel like that we're all surrounded by idiots. I know it can sometimes feel like that, But then when I start feeling like that, I just remember that I am one of the idiots that everyone else is surrounded by.
I have.
Hmm?
I used to
Yeah.
get in trouble for this a
Same.
lot. I don't so much anymore, but I used to get in trouble for this because I make a face when I am trying to understand something. And the face looks like, are you fucking stupid? Like that's what the face
Yeah.
looks like. It's like that.
Oh,
Like
okay,
there's a
yeah.
subtitle on my forehead that says, "Are you fucking stupid?" Because
Your
my face
resting
goes
condescending face.
like, "What?"
Whenever
What the,
I've been,
the question that's actually happening in my head is, "Am I fucking stupid? Like, did I not understand what this person is saying? Like, I'm not questioning
again, do
them.
it
I'm
again, do it
questioning
again.
me. Am I fucking stupid? Are you?
Is
fucking
that what that
stupid?
means? I thought you hated me.
No, that's that face. That face is me trying to be like, am I
Oh.
dumb? And I didn't understand what they said.
Oh, okay.
That's just me
Look,
processing.
the thing is, like, whenever I've been in online spheres, wherever it's been like this on camera, and I've heard people say something stupid, I do not have a poker face for that shit either.
Mm.
I sit there, I'm like, and you'll see me go like this too. I'm like, the
Don't
fuck
usually,
did he
yeah.
just say?
People
Yeah, that's
online
it.
have figured out that I have a tick on my eyebrow. So I do that, but it's way more subtle. Like if somebody says something really dumb or somebody has just boxed themselves into a corner, my eyebrow just
Like
does
that.
like this quick little tick. But
Eh,
when it comes to I think it might be a good idea or helpful to people if we can explain some of our personal philosophies, how we got there.
Mhm.
I'll go first because I don't think it's fair to spring that on you guys.
Thank you.
So you guys can think about it for a minute. I'll go first. I have two main rules and one sort of principle that I like to follow. And the two main rules is don't ignore me, don't fuck with my shit, and my general philosophy is hold people to the standards that they put forward, not the standard that I put onto them. So if somebody says like, "Oh, if you can't show it, you don't know it," then the person like so Aaron Raw, for example, which I love that phrase. I think it's a great phrase. If he can't show it, he doesn't know it either. So if he presents something and he's wrong and he can't show it, then he shouldn't be saying that he knows it, right? Now, that's just an example. For the other two, don't ignore me and don't fuck with my shit. Not ignoring me does not mean that you have to listen to everything I say ever and I need to be loud and boisterous. It means if you come to me looking for solutions to a problem, it doesn't mean you have to do exactly as I say, but don't ignore me when I'm telling you what the answers to your questions are. You don't have to do those things. You don't even have to agree with those things. But if you completely brush me off, I'm not talking for the sake of fucking talking here. Leave me alone and don't waste my time.
Yeah.
And the second one is don't fuck with my shit. Because if you fuck with my shit, I'm going to fuck with you back. It's only fair. And that's basically the way I go about my life. If you want to get a little bit more complicated, I have one more thing that I like to do, and it is analyzing interactions about whether or not I decide this interaction is going to be worth my time. And the way I analyze those interactions are it's either going to be good, like a positive interaction for me. Now, it doesn't mean that the interaction has to be good. It means it has to be in my favor. It's going to be neutral, or it's going to be negative. Why would I waste my time on anything that would be a negative? And why would I waste my time on anything that would be a neutral? There's enough people out there to interact with. There's enough space, there's enough things to engage with that you almost never have to have a neutral or a negative interaction outside of extenuating circumstance. So that's kind of the way I operate. That's kind of how I live my life.
Yeah. So, who wants to go next?
If you want, you can also ask me questions if you need
Oh,
clarification.
I bet you try your best on especially that last one, because there's probably times where, like, in the moment you thought it was not negative, but ends up being so later on. So.
Yeah, I try to have a little bit of forethought to it. To have if I think something might be a negative interaction in the short term, that can be a positive interaction in the future, or vice versa. You have to, it's like a gamble sometimes where it's like, well, if somebody becomes a piece of shit later, there's nothing I can do about that. And did I do good with the time that I had? Right?
For me, there is very few things that I really take hard stances on, because like for instance, I love it when people are direct with me, but I also can allow it. I don't get mad and angry every single time somebody, is indirect with me about things, or they sit there and try to be a little playful about something, or whatever like that. There's only a few things that I have really hard stances on. One of them is basically like don't call me stupid. I mean really like in a mean like when people say it in a joking manner, I'm fine with that. But when people are like, you're fucking stupid, I'm just like I don't get mad very easily. But like when people treat me like I'm stupid, that's when it pisses me off.
Well, that's like
Because
my whole life.
like I've had people because like I sit there and say I don't get this particular thing, like why you did this particular thing. They sit there and like, well, you see, what you do is, and I'm like, first of all, I have been reading at way higher levels from since I was a kid. I was like 7 years old reading at a high school level. I now currently am in college. You don't have to talk to me like I'm fucking dumb. I'm just asking you to clarify why you did this thing. Do not break it down as if I'm 5. Now
Man, that
there are
pisses
certain
you off,
times
doesn't it?
whenever oh yeah, it pisses me off so fucking bad.
I can tell it
Because
pisses you off. You're getting mad thinking
yeah,
about it.
yes,
Yeah, good for you.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so like that is like one of my hard lines is don't treat me like I'm dumb. Like
You
like
don't want to
if
be
Barry was like
condescended to.
exactly. And we're especially by other adults. It's like we are fucking adults. Like I'm going to treat you like an adult. You treat me like an adult. And so like that's the best way to get under my skin is by sitting there being condescending and treating me
No,
like I'm
don't
a child
choke me.
or treating me like I'm dumb. And but if Barry's like, oh, you fucking dumbass, I'd be like, accurate, Barry, accurate. But but so
Because you know I wouldn't be
so
serious.
exactly. And but there's that, and then like
Yeah, but
my
what you
biggest thing
see,
is
what you
like,
don't understand is that Mario has 100 levels, and every
but so and then another hard stance I have is like 9 times out of 10, like whenever it comes to flinging shit at people, like I'm always fine with people saying whatever crap they want about me. Like if they sit there and be like, oh well, you do this, or you're from Texas, you blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. But the very second you aim it at like my family, that's whenever it's like, okay, look, if you're mad at me, or you want to insult someone, you can insult me all you like. But the very second you go at my family, just know, like that's where I draw my hard line. I'm like, no, you don't attack my family. You can attack me all you like. You can attack. You could sit there and say that you think I'm a immoral monster, a piece of shit. You could sit there and say that I am the lowest of the low, and I'd be like, okay. But the very second you go after my family, that's when out. And if it's in real life, oh no, I'm swinging. Like that's
That's
just
the
it.
basis of tribal
I
justice.
I'm Yeah, I am definitely of part of the tribe of fuck around and find out. Yeah, no. So, but like for the most part, like everything else, I'm usually very flexible about. I don't really take many hard stances on things, which I know I should, but I try to keep things very light and easy going because yeah, no, I don't want to sit there and be serious all the time.
I think there's also a difference between like having a hard stance about something personally, but then being more loose about the way you're interacting with people about that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know if anything I think has true. Does somebody say something else? Oh, I don't, whatever I have, I don't know if I'd call it a personal philosophy because it's very loose, and I don't know maybe to describe because like what frustrated atheist said, it's very difficult to come to hard answers, to these questions. But everything for me would be set up as a series of conditional statements. If then this. So there's no
Yeah.
if we decide this is whatever. Morality to me seems to be just a series of agreed upon principles for living in a communal society, which is fine. Um,
Mm.
I try to accept people. If you have to deal with people, like this doesn't apply if you don't have to deal with them, but if you have any dealings with people, you need to find a way to accept them on their own terms, regardless of what you think about those terms. Because otherwise you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time. Fuck anybody else. You're going to have a hard time if you don't do it. The one that I said before about just, I mean, you're not stuck in traffic. You are the traffic. You're a part of this whole machine as well. And everything else is if-then statements, and just hope for the best. Like, if you want to live in a kind of world where these things don't happen, then don't do that thing, right? That's not even a moral argument. That's just a functional fact thing. If you want to live in a world where people don't do this thing, then don't do that thing. There's a lot of that happening inside me. That's it.
No.
So short answer is Barry's a reactionary.
Yeah.
Do you want to go
That
first?
stare
Also, you
was
can
funny.
say what you like about me or my family. I'm not going to give a shit.
No, I could go next. What's it called?
Puppy.
Something I've recognized as one of the greatest evils is lack of fortitude, specifically. So, like, if you go by like the cardinal virtues, there's fortitude, temperance, and prudence, but the lack of fortitude to actually have the resolve to do the action to do things is probably the progenitor of why evil exists in this world. So part of it also like translates to my upbringing in karate. There's a phrase called walk outside your gate as though you face 10,000 enemies. So it's having the resolve, not the paranoia that you're having that many enemies, but it's the resolve to be ready for them specifically. And that could be anything.
How do you feel about that?
What do you mean?
Walk outside the gate as if you're 10,000 enemies. Do you feel that's a productive strategy?
It's more of like the resolve that I'm ready for anything that comes to me during the day, specifically.
Like resilience.
Come what may. Yeah, resolve. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not paranoia. It's resolve specifically.
Okay.
So the other thing is that I have a long time analyzing that I really just have a concern for truth rather than this us versus them kind of thing with people. And so if like I start seeing other people associating into like, oh, it's us versus them kind of stuff, I kind of ignore it. I kind of let them do their own thing. I'm happy for them if they feel like that's productive ways to go about their day. But if I just go by like what they're doing in terms of like making claims about the world, if it's true or not, and stuff like that. So I care more about when I see interactions with debates, if they actually are being in good faith. If they're not, then it's not really a productive discussion. So
I personally value consistency. So, like, when it comes to interacting and looking at debates, is this person being consistent in their application? Like, for example, like a flurf, right? Is like they're relying on science here, but then saying science is wrong here. And it's just like, okay, but why? What's the disconnect between point A and point B?
or if
And they
like,
might
they're
have a
thinking
reason, but do
yeah.
they? Yeah.
or if they're being naturalistic on this and then not naturalistic on another thing. It's like, how did you insert that non-naturalistic cause there? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, inconsistencies in debaters is really a really bad issue, because the same person that I was talking about, that me and Dave were talking to, like, he would constantly flip flop with using definitions.
Was this
of
Duke?
one word? No, it
A
wasn't.
bloke called Leon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he would constantly use the same word, but using two completely different definitions for it, but trying to use them as the same, and it's like
using faith and faith. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. And it was so
But there's-
aggravating because we were trying to explain it to him, and he refused to actually acknowledge that that's what he was doing, and then try to keep going back. Well, what about this? It's like, no, like, acknowledge the fact that you are using the same word but using two definitions while using it. And he just wouldn't. He'd be like, LOL, no. And then he's just like, he kept bringing up fucking 1984, and I'm like, stop it, because you don't fucking understand it.
Dave, what about you? You're the real professional here. What are you thinking?
Wait, what now? Who's professional?
You heard me.
No, I didn't. My earphones are gone. No,
they keep cutting in
mostly
and out whenever
my-
you call him a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave is a
No.
professional.
Just static. Just.
My personal philosophy is I have tinnitus and I can barely hear anything that's going on in the world.
I hate
But
it
no,
when
no.
Mine,
Mostly-
mine acts up.
Yeah, no, mostly my personal philosophy is I'm hopelessly confused about everything and just trying to make it through my day without feeling too depressed. And trying to make other people less confused and make it through their day without feeling quite so depressed.
Collectivist
basically.
over here.
Yeah,
Are you a
He's a man of the people,
cosmopolitan?
Chesh.
I am kind of a cosmopolitan, or at least I try to be. Because everybody
Chesh.
goes through shit and yeah.
Y'all just don't know. Dave is just a man of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Next,
I
we're
never
gonna
leave my
see him.
house.
Next, we're gonna see him living in a barrel with a cup. You know.
Glass.
That's his cup,
Vodka.
and you better not touch it. That's his glass, and you better.
Yeah,
not
you
touch
can take
right?
it if you like, so long as you hand it back full.
Yeah, I think like as long as people on a whole can acknowledge that other people are just as people as you are people, then we're already off to a way better start, because I think there is a lot of not that happening often, regularly, which is really
Yeah,
too
there's
bad.
far too much
wanna be
tribalism.
people?
hmm
Well,
Does
I
that
think
apply to the
What
French?
if I don't?
yes.
No,
Well,
they're,
nobody likes.
they're the exclusion. Fuck the French.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
like
no.
part of the problem is that we are very much in a lot of larger and smaller of a world than we kind of are used to. Particularly,
Yes.
the internet is still very young compared to like how slow communication was for a very, very, very long time, and how much access to information and to other people we ever had. And so I think that social media in particular, and things like YouTube and stuff, are something we're still very much in the process of just figuring out and learning and getting used to.
Yeah.
I think that limiting it in certain ways is going to be a good thing. I think expanding it in other ways is also going to be a good thing. And realistically, if we want a global equity and equality, one of the best ways to get it is to communicate with each other, so we do know what's going on in other places. That's one of the reasons why I thought Elon Musk saying he was going to cut Starlink in Ukraine was one of the most horrific things he could ever threaten to do. Especially, and that's even excluding that there was war going on at the time, right? Like that's just the extra on top. Same way with why I think it's so egregious for Israel to cut off Palestine internet. Like that's awful. You shouldn't do that. And the only reason anybody would do that is because they don't want other people knowing what's going on. Same with China, right? I think it's terrible for China to have things cut off in that way, because I think that if we as a group decide that we should be equal and equitable between everybody, the only way to do that going forward is to be as communicative as possible.
Mhm.
But we need to be a little bit better, Faith. And that's going to take practice.
Yeah.
Can we just not be better faith towards the French?
What's wrong with the French?
I don't know what everybody's problem is.
It's just
Yeah.
It's the
it's
French.
a funny.
Sure.
First,
You live in Canada. You need me to explain to you what's wrong with the French?
No, they're
I
like
don't live in
literally my
Canada.
neighbors. I'm used to that shit.
Hmm.
I'm also
Well,
neighbors with
very-
America.
very-
You think the French are a problem?
Barry, you see the problem is I think that the Canadian French are a little bit different than the French. The French.
Oh, they're a
just
lot
like,
different.
They're a lot
Yes, they
different.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they're
So-
inspired in some way by the.
Yeah.
Well-
so the fact that fact alone means that she just doesn't get it.
We should also look at wrapping up. We are almost up to our hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know if this was helpful for you, and if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you think that Dave in particular is wrong, definitely tell us how and in what way and why in the comment section down below. And if you want to talk
We
about
already
how
know you
correct
think
I
so.
Just
am
like
about
my
the way I
tutor.
live my life, all questions must be in the form of a compliment. Thank you very much.
And
very
if
fragile.
And we all know that Barry's always wrong, so it's fine to just
That's fair.
Yeah,
you
go,
don't have to point it out.
go find everybody at the links down below. You can find the stuff that they make and where they make it down in the description. Go check them out, both their channels, their writing, their whatever they're working on right now. They've always got some stuff going on. And maybe Dave and I will be playing Overcooked soon. That's going to be fun. We'll talk about philosophy
Yeah, that'll
there.
be awesome.
There you go.
Thank you
I'll
so
have
much
to
for
figure out
joining
how
us.
to hook up a mic
The
to the Steam Deck
philosophy.
or something.
Bye bye.
Oh, yeah.
The philosophy of Overcooked.
The philosophy of Overcooked. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good shit. Share, and if you think this will help you or has helped anybody in the future, please let us know. Have a good day, everybody, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You've probably had a question that you have thought about throughout your entire life, whether it be like, where am I going in life? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? That is a philosophical question, regardless if you're just wanting to know what kind of job you're going to do or whatever. It's still a philosophical question.
I'd say life is a choose your own adventure book. And what philosophy does is it does that thing where you say, you can go to page 20 if this happens, or go to page 80 if this happens, and on page 80 it just says you die. You're playing those games and you just skip that bit and you don't go to page 80, you decide to go to page 20 after all. That's what philosophy can do for you.
One key trait about philosophy is that there's like unresolved arguments all the time that never can come to a consensus or agreement. It's always disagreements constantly. But that's actually part of a trait that's actually really good.
A little bit of philosophy makes you Deepak Chopra. Studying philosophy
Yeah.
makes you an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But the question here, Dave, is what do you mean by a little?